All right. Hey guys, welcome back to the Batar Project. I'm your host, Nick Batar. Today we are joined by Neel Kolhatkar. Did I get that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Brother,
that's good.
thank you for making the trip out here from Burwood. Really appreciate it.
Man, thanks for having me, and thanks for helping me out with my air conditioner.
Yes. Funny story. That's how we met. We'll service your aircon how many years now? 2?
Since I've moved there, I think 3 or 4.
Yeah, shit. And so my first time coming to your house was last year, and I had no clue who you were. I didn't even know who you were this year.
Okay.
And then when we got talking about what you did and you showed me your Instagram, I still didn't know until I got home. I checked your Instagram. I'm like, fuck, I've seen this guy before.
Oh, there you go. Hopefully you laughed a few times.
Oh, I did, bro. I did. And I was like, shit, I got to get this guy on the podcast. And here you are today, bro. So thank you.
Glad to be here.
Awesome.
Good drive.
Yeah, not bad on the weekend.
That's true, yeah. Very picturesque here in the Blue Mountains, you know. Lots of nice trees and...
I call it God's country.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love it up here.
Okay. A few people in the Shire might have something to say about that.
Yeah.
But I think this is more like God's country than the Shire.
Too many people in the Shire.
Yeah. I grew up, I went to high school in the Shire and look, I like it, but I'm a St. George boy, so
Yeah,
big
St.
rivalry
George is
there.
all right, yeah. Do you go for St. George in the footy?
I do, yeah. Yeah.
Not doing too well.
Oh, it's so up and down, you know. It's start of the year. What was it, 4-1?
They're always like that, though.
They're
They
just-
smash the beginning of the season and they
Dude.
just flop.
The last 10 years, being a St. George fan, it's just not even the start of the season. They'll go. I remember in 2018, in round 16, 17, they were coming first, and then yeah, it's just It's just frustrating.
They're not meant to win.
I don't know what it is, man. It's they got good players, and I think they spend too much money on a few players though, and
Well, they're getting rid of Corey Norman, I think.
they're getting rid of Norman and Dufty now, so they're just doing a whole reshuffle. They're
Duffy's
getting
been killing it, though.
He has in attack. I think he's very on and off,
Yeah, lacks in
I
defense.
think defensively he lets in too many, and apparently there's an attitude issue. So I don't know. It's right now, actually, as we speak, they're playing the Raiders and they're debuting this 19-year-old Tyrell Sloan, I think.
Okay,
and there's a big rap on this guy. So
What position?
fullback.
Fullback, okay.
That's a lot
Duffy's
of
not playing.
pressure. I think they've dropped him.
Oh, shit.
But that's a lot of pressure for a 19-year-old, especially with Dragons fans, because we expect results. So
True, but
I hope he does well.
then again, if he's a fucking gun, he'll perform. Like that Warriors player, the fullback, it was Walsh.
Oh, Reece Walsh, yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
he's been killing it,
Yeah, and Brisbane, how many players have Brisbane let go?
bro.
Just this year, like Oates is going to Melbourne, Walsh. There was I swear there's more. I'm mind blanking right now, but David Fafita last year.
A whole bunch of players. They have a
an
massive
exodus.
nursery there, but they just let them all go.
Yeah, the management at the Broncos and the Dragons, frankly, I think they need a reshuffle there more than the roster.
One day, we'll see.
Yeah.
Dragons might win a premiership.
Fingers crossed. I'm not even going to, because there'll always be minor premiers up to round 20. And then I'm just so used to being disappointed now. So whatever happens, happens.
True.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll always support them though. So
that's a true support. I love that.
it's frustrating, but I'll be there through thick and thin.
Exactly.
Always remember the good days of 2010. Get Wayne Bennett back.
Doubt it. I think he'll probably go back to Brisbane.
I think he's going to retire. He's what? Like he's pretty old, man.
70 something, maybe?
Yeah, he might. They're saying he might go back to Brisbane as a sort of a coaching director or something. But didn't he have a big fight with all the Brisbane management? So
Yeah, something like that. Who knows? But he's Wayne Bennett.
that's true. Yeah, they can't say no to him. And then there's another Brisbane team coming that they're
Yeah, the
talking about.
Redcliffe Dolphins or something.
Yeah, yeah. So they might ask him to be the coach there. But yeah, the Broncos, they really like it's one thing being a Dragons fan, but damn, Broncos just Anthony Seibold. I don't know what he did, but the whole team just last year the first two, before COVID, they won the first 2 games, and they were some people even had them as premiership favourites, and then they came back after the break and just lost whatever it was, 10 in a row or whatever. And
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, what's your thoughts on the game now, especially the head high stuff?
Oh,
Sin bins fucking right, left and centre.
I don't know. Look, I think what they're trying to do is broaden the appeal because a lot of parents and mothers see the concussions and the players getting knocked out and think, oh, I don't want to put my son into this game. So they're trying to get. I think that's why they're doing that, but man, it's really ruining the flow
It's
of the
affecting
game.
the top level.
Yeah. So I don't like it, but hopefully it's just a 4 or 5 week thing, and then they calm down on the amount of players that they're sin binning, and it's just a sort of a warning to all the players.
They didn't do it in Origin. They would have ruined it.
People would have just walked out of the stadium, I reckon.
Yeah.
I mean, they already were, but for a good reason.
Unlucky Queenslanders.
Yeah, but New South Wales always get cocky, you know. We always win one game.
If we don't win, we have the ultimate team.
I know, right? How good was Trebojevic and Mitchell in the centres?
Killed it.
Just ripped them apart. It was so good. And Nathan Cleary is playing amazing. He could be, because he's 24. So he could play another 10 years. If he keeps playing at this level, he'll be an immortal. Like, he's so good.
Yeah, 100%.
The freak. And Tedesco. Like, imagine being as good as Tom Trebojevic is, and then he can't even be the fullback.
I know.
That's how good our team is now. So,
Stacked.
yeah, no excuses. And Luai played so well. It's 5'8". Cook's a bit out of form, I reckon, but because like Coruscant's playing really well. If I was the selector, I might even put Coruscant in there, but I'm not. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
But then Cookie's been there and done that, and he performed
true.
well in game one. I thought
He did all right, made a few line breaks there, but I think Coruscant's just been playing so well the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I think he deserves a chance, even if it was off the bench or something. Or what they can do if they win game 2, because they've won the series, they can just blood a lot of young players in the third game. People like Lomax and Victor Radley if he's back, and maybe Coruscant. He's not a young player anymore, but I think he just definitely deserves an Origin berth. He's so good.
yeah, he is 100%.
Who do you go for?
Tigers.
Ooh,
Yeah, they're woeful.
been a rough decade as well.
2005, mate. That's all I remember.
Yeah, I'm with you there with 2010. It's yeah. What do you think? What do you think about Luke Brooks?
I don't know. He's hit and miss. Like he is a good player. It's just I just don't reckon he suits the Tigers.
Yeah, he's just been there for what? He's played nearly 200 games now.
Yeah.
and he's too inconsistent, I guess.
Nothing's really worked around him. But they've bought Jackson Hastings back from overseas. I think he's coming back next year or maybe this year.
Okay. Thing is, he by all accounts is a great player, but just pissed a lot of people off
That's
apparently.
why he left
So
Manly, yeah.
as long as he gets that under control, then who knows?
Yeah, because he's been killing it over in the Super League.
Yeah, Super League's a different game. It's very attacking. You know what? Dufty would kill it in the Super League.
100%.
He would be the man of steel every year. But I don't know if he wants to go there.
It's a big life change, that's for sure.
It will be, yeah. It would be. It would be hard being early mid-20s and then being told, yeah, you're not wanted.
I know.
Yeah, your job's finished here in Australia. You either got to go to England or retire.
Or pay like reserve grade or something.
Yeah, that'll be rough at that age as well.
Especially when you've worked so hard to get to that level.
Yeah, man. I've got my best friend actually from high school. He plays New South Wales Cup for the Panthers. So he's my age. He's 27. So, I mean, he could still make NRL, but it's getting...
Who's your mate?
His name's George Secrekas.
Ah, yeah, I know.
You know him?
I know who he is, yeah.
Okay. Do you play or...
No, I used to play, and I
Okay.
played with a lot of boys who play in New South Wales Cup now, so...
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he he plays for Greece in the national team,
Yeah.
and he's a legend. He works so hard, and I hope he still can make NRL. But he should be regardless. He should be so proud of what he's done. But man, if you've dedicated that much of your life to it and you just miss out, that's rough.
I know. That would be rough.
Yeah,
Especially hard playing with, especially with the Panthers, how well they're doing. Like, for your mate, it would be so hard to crack the first grade squad.
and now with the top 30 thing, it's even harder. So
Yeah.
before that, they could just get reserve grade players and give them a game at the end of the season or something like that. But they actually can't. I don't know what would happen, but they actually can't name people who are outside of the top 30 now, which seems a bit. I think it was the Rugby League Players Association that wanted to bring in the top 30 thing because a few of the top grade players were being dropped to reserve grade and they didn't like that. But now for the players that aren't in that top 30, it's just that much harder to crack into the NRL. So you win some, you lose some, I guess.
You just got to work hard and see what happens.
That's it. What position did you play?
I played fullback, wing, centre.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So I was playing like semi-professional level, so Sydney Shield and Ron Messi Cup.
Oh, nice.
And then I was just like, nah, I just had enough. All the politics and shit. The dream wasn't to play NRL anymore, so I was like, nah.
That's really interesting, man, because, my friend actually was telling me about how much politics is involved and how much who you know really influences whether or not you make the right squads and the right teams. And I always thought, as someone in the in comedy, something like sport, it would be pretty objective. Like if you play well, you'll get selected. But hearing that, it's really interesting.
It's not, bro. You could bust your ass at training, and then these superstar players could just rock up and be in the team.
Interesting. Yeah. That sucks, man, because you'd think if there's the one area that is just purely based on talent, it would be sport, but no?
It's all about who you know. Like, obviously you have to be good, but
damn,
if you know the right people, it helps.
Damn.
Yeah. It is what it is, man. It's a business at the end of the day.
That's true. Yeah. How do they find the next, do they just find someone at 18, 19 and say, yeah, you're going to be the next superstar, basically?
All, like, the development pathways.
Okay.
I think they start under 13s. And then if you work your way through all the squads, and if you're good enough, you get picked up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so some kids sign with like a club when they're like 13 and they just stay in the system the whole way through.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's a long journey.
It would be, yeah. And like I said, it would just be your whole life.
Yeah, that's one reason I did kind of retire as well, is it took up so much of my life. Like my whole life was revolved around it.
Yeah.
And now I just have so much free time to focus on the podcast and my clothing brand and going out and adventuring and stuff like that.
Nice. Which did you play for? Did you say you played for the around the Penrith area? Or?
I was a club slut. I played at like
everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the club that I finished off at was Windsor Wolves. So they're a Penrith local club, but they're not. They were feeder. I forget who they fed into. They used to be Penrith, but when I was there, they fed into someone else.
Are they the Manly or Parramatta? One of them.
Might have been Manly, or was it Tigers, Western Suburbs, or something like that. I forget. Okay. I don't know, but yeah, we fed into them. It's a whole weird system how it all works.
Right.
But yeah, I played that level, so Sydney Shield, Ron Messi. I only actually got to play one game for that club because COVID came and fucked the season. The whole season got cancelled.
Oh, so it was only last year that you retired, basically.
Yeah, I played one game last year and I said,
damn.
I was going to go back, but after last year I realised, shit, like I got so much time now. And what I achieved last year, I was like, wow, like imagine if I had another year and like kept focusing on this.
For sure, yeah.
And just, the dream wasn't NRL anymore, so focus on this now.
Oh, well, that's life, I guess.
100%.
Yeah, as long as you're happy doing what you're doing, that's the main thing.
Exactly, man. We'll go back and we'll start. What's something you're grateful
for? You know what? Just seeing this whole setup, I know everyone has a lot to say about how modern technology is ruining our lives, but I am so grateful for living in an age where anyone and everyone can just broadcast their thoughts to the world. That wouldn't have been possible 20, 30 years ago. So I'm so grateful for the technology that allows people like us to podcast and make videos and showcase it on social media. My mind just went to my cat. I'm grateful for my cat. Don't know why, but grateful for her. Of course, very grateful for my parents, my sister. And you know what? Grateful for my youth. Got to enjoy it while it lasts.
100%, man. I'm grateful for you making the trip out here today. I really appreciate it. It really helps me to grow what I'm doing. So thank you for that.
Least I can do, man.
Awesome. we'll jump back. You mentioned you brought up in St. George area. Let's go back to your upbringing. What were you like?
What was I like? I started off as a really good student, really studious, just typical Indian kid. But then there were a few naughty kids in my primary school, and the teacher always sat me next to the naughty kids because they thought, oh, Neel will be a good influence, and the opposite happened. And so then I became a brat. I wasn't really bad, but, I was just mischievous and became a little bit of a class clown. But you know what? That, funnily enough, that's what made me audition for this play in Year 6 as a joke, because I was taking the piss out of the other people that were auditioning seriously. Yeah. But because they were so nervous, because they took it so seriously, I ended up getting the role, funnily enough. And then I loved it. I fell in love with performing and acting, and I just kept doing it throughout high school. I wasn't shy, but I wasn't sort of a big party guy in high school or anything like that. I was really focused on my what I'm doing, what I'm really lucky to be able to do now, my acting and drama and comedy and improvisation and things like that. And that was my main focus all throughout my childhood and my adolescence. And I suppose that's what I was like. I was just always talking about that. I was always thinking about it. I was always trying to make a little film here and there. And YouTube just started in maybe 2006 or 7, and I was making clips back then. So that was a big part of who I was. But my personality was, sometimes it was very loud and outgoing and boisterous because I was a performer, but I was also pretty introverted. I liked my alone time. I played a lot of video games. I spent a lot of time on the internet, which I look back on now, I probably should have been outside a bit more, but that's kids these days, isn't it? It's even worse now. So
kids don't even go outside these days.
Yeah.
Glued to their freaking
It's too
iPad.
dangerous, right?
Yeah, too dangerous.
Yeah. They're just from 2-3 years old, they're on the iPad. Which I don't know what's going to happen, but yeah, I suppose that was my my childhood. It was pretty. I suppose that's another thing I'm grateful for. It was quite a good childhood. I had my challenges and things, but nothing really overwhelming or nothing intense compared to some of the other people I went to, especially primary school with. I had two, great parents, and they always supported me. They were pretty strict, as most ethnic parents are. And then, every family has their fights and things, but I'd say it was a pretty normal upbringing. I was a bit of a nerd. I still am. When I say nerd, I don't think I was, I wasn't picked on too much or anything. Everyone gets picked on a little bit. Even I did a bit of bullying sometimes, and I regret that. But I'd say, yeah, it was just a pretty normal kind of childhood. Nothing really too crazy. But yeah, a big part of it was just performing and public speaking and even back then, comedy.
Yeah. And when you finished school, did you go to like uni, or what did you do after that?
I did a gap year after high school because I really wanted to be a stand-up comedian even then. And I worked for a little bit. I was a swimming teacher. And I also taught, my high school was nice enough to let me teach drama and improv after school. So I taught a few of the year 7 and 8 kids. And that was great because I was doing swimming teaching maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And then I was doing that 3 or 4 times a week. So I still had a lot of free time, but I was making, pretty good money for an 18-year-old. And so I saved up, and then this would have been 2012, around June, July, August. I traveled. I went to New York. I went to LA. I went to Canada, London during the Olympics. You couldn't see much there because the tickets were impossible to get. Although I saw the cycling for 1 second. I saw them all go past. It's like, yes, I saw an event at the Olympics. Went to Scotland, and then I went to India on the way back, and all those places I wanted to come back to one day and perform. And I've been really lucky to be able to perform in a lot of those places. And then in 2013, I did start uni. I just did it part-time because I was still doing a lot of comedy. And then I started going viral on YouTube. And I was able to do comedy full-time because people were coming to see me live, and I was doing shows and started traveling. I was doing shows in Melbourne, in Perth, in Adelaide, in Brisbane. And I deferred uni and then I never went back. And I've been doing it full-time ever since.
That's awesome. What were you studying?
Economics.
Economics, yeah.
Yeah.
I was studying sport and exercise science. I dropped out after a year and a half.
Yeah.
Uni wasn't for me, eh?
It's just wasn't. I didn't mind it. I liked it, but I liked comedy more. So I just didn't see the point of doing it. Look, if I was 2.5 years into a 3-year degree, I probably would have finished it, but I was 6 months in because I was doing it part-time. So I thought, what's the point, you know?
Especially when you're so passionate about something and now you have the opportunity to do it full-time. Fuck it, just do it, eh?
Absolutely.
And how old were you at the time?
Like 19, 20. Yeah.
So young.
Exactly, yeah. You can always go back to uni. But if you've got something you're passionate about, I mean, you're never too old to pursue that either. But I think when you're young and you're ambitious and you really have the most energy to give it everything, that's the best time to do it.
Yeah, you're not like held down by like having children or house repayments and stuff like that. You have the freedom.
That's exactly it. Yeah. You have a lot more freedom, a lot more spare time. And something like media or social media nowadays, it's just the more you just practice, the more time you spend on it, although it can be unhealthy spending too much time on social media, but the more contacts you make, the better you're going to do. So it's almost better than doing a 3-year media degree.
100%. And you came in like the right time as well, as social media was really taken off.
Yeah, I was very lucky because when I was in high school, that's when things like Facebook and YouTube were just coming about. So I was the right age, yeah.
Now you mentioned did you go back to like New York and all that and perform there too, or?
I did open mics there, so that's where anyone can just kind of sign up and perform. Okay. So yeah, I did perform, but I have since been back to New York and I did a split bill show with some other Australian comedians. I've done a few comedy gigs in London. I really love London. I spent a few months there, and I have done a little bit in Scotland. They've got a big festival there called the Edinburgh Fringe. So yeah, I have performed in some of those cities that I travel to, which is
New York,
pretty cool.
Does New York have like a big comedy scene there?
Yeah, it's probably the biggest in the world. Well, I don't know now after COVID, but it always was the home of stand-up comedy. New York and then London, yeah.
What was it like in New York? All the hustle and bustle?
It was crazy. Yeah. It was because I always thought, I grew up in Sydney. I thought, this is a big city. It's busy. It's crowded.
All different ball games.
You go there. It really is a concrete jungle because I remember flying in and I was like a kid again looking at, oh my God, these buildings are so fucking tall. Like, and again, it's not like I'm from a farm. I grew up in Sydney, so New York is just something else. I absolutely love it though, but it's overwhelming how big it is.
Yeah. Hopefully we can fucking get back there soon, eh?
Hopefully, yeah. Fingers crossed. Hopefully with the vaccine rollout, it should be another year or two, but who knows?
Who knows in fucking this world anymore? Anything can happen.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
Bruce, what do you love most about comedy?
I love the way it makes me have to think to come up with jokes and to be able to see the funny in everyday things and everyday people. But I love how it can allow people to think about people or cultures or ideas differently through humor. So someone like Sacha Baron Cohen, Borat, right? He's hilarious, but he can also make people think differently about the way foreigners are perceived or the way the fashion industry is perceived through his character Bruno, and that's something I really love about comedy, that it can actually change people's minds through laughter.
Yeah, and it actually sheds light on real life situations too.
Absolutely, yeah, because they always say, it's funny because it's true.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of things that people know are true, but when they're presented in a comedic way, it's just expressed in a way that they haven't thought about before, and that feeling of that's funny, but that's also so true.
Yeah,
I love creating that feeling in people.
How do you come up with continuously coming up with more jokes or skits or whatever? Bro, that would be hard.
It's just a job, man. I don't know. You just got to do it. You got to. I'm pretty observational, so just through my day-to-day experiences, what I see on social media, what I see in real life, the people I interact with, what I see on TV, all of that just influences the jokes I come up with. Yeah. And if I think something's a bit stupid, then I want to make fun of it, then that's probably the biggest influence as to where my comedy will come from, actually. Things that I think, maybe not stupid, but strange or contradictory, or something that people maybe just haven't seen it in that light, or haven't thought about it that way.
Do you take the piss out of yourself as well? Is that a part of it?
Yeah, I try to. Yeah. I'll make a lot of brown jokes, and then make a lot of short jokes as well. Shout out to all the short kings out there, though. And just funny stories where I've been an idiot. There's plenty of those. So I think it's important to be able to take the piss out of yourself, because it shows you're comfortable with yourself.
100%. You have this character that you play on. You have an Instagram account for it. Who is it?
Oh, Charles D.
Yeah.
The entrepreneur, yeah. I'm Charles D. I make 52.45K a year after tax, and I'm going to show you how to make money. So he was just like a piss take of all the, those kind of real estate agents / self-help guys that go way too overboard with it. And I just thought it'd just be funny to make a caricature out of this. But
buy my masterclass.
Yeah. Buy my ebook, Be the Lion. That was one of the jokes. He's always got this ebook coming soon, but it never actually comes out.
No.
And he's always got this ridiculous merch, and he's got a digital currency called Dickcoin. So he's like, forget about Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to invest in Dickcoin. Right. So, I've got to bring him back, actually. He's more relevant now than ever.
100%. And on that Dickcoin thing, have you heard of Cum Rocket?
No. Do I want to know?
It's actually a coin.
Wow, okay.
And Elon Musk mentioned it, and it fucking shot through the roof.
Cum Rocket.
Yeah.
It's funny how Elon Musk can just make a coin be worth trillions of dollars from a tweet. It's so crazy.
It's fucked.
What world do we live in?
Like Dogecoin, and then it crashed.
Yeah, I'm not into the whole crypto thing, man, but I don't know, everyone's saying I should get into it, but it just seems so volatile. If someone can tweet and then, I don't know.
Yeah,
it just
depends what you invest in. I have a bit of money in it, but not in those meme coins. I have it in Bitcoin, Ethereum, the main source ones that actually are relevant to, I believe, in the future that we might use it. But these meme coins are just a fucking joke.
Yeah. But if you're lucky, the meme coin, you can get it for 1 cent, and then
if you're lucky, it
ends up being $10. So
it's just like a gamble going to the pokies.
Quite literally, yeah.
Yeah, it's fucked. How did COVID affect your comedy? Because obviously no live shows. Would that be your main source of kind of income, the live shows, or?
Yeah. So it wasn't good. But you know what? In a weird way, it sort of forced me to make more internet content, and I'd sort of put that on the back burner for a long time. It made me get into TikTok.
Bro, I seen that was
funnily enough,
1 million followers.
Now it's my biggest platform because of COVID, basically, which is insane. Who would have thought? I'm 27 and I'm a grown man, and I'm on TikTok. But I love it. I actually really love it. And I started a second podcast, so it did help me. And luckily in Australia, COVID was nowhere near as bad as it was in America and England, although there's a few cases out there in Sydney now. But it wasn't that long before I could do live shows again. I remember March was when the lockdown happened, and then by September I was doing live shows again.
Oh, that's all right.
So it wasn't too long. It was almost a nice little break. Financially it took a bit of a hit, but luckily I didn't, I'm not married or I don't have kids or anything like that. So it wasn't career ending by any means, yeah.
And you got to focus on other things, which have now seemed to work out.
Yeah, so I think for me personally, I'm not saying this for everyone at all, but for me it actually was a blessing in disguise almost.
Yeah.
Made me think about things differently and change up my content and the structure of how I post, and I'm better off for it, I think.
Yeah, I feel the same way about COVID. Like, you're able to just kind of take a step back and be like, fuck, all right, I can put my energy into this now. Like, I was able to put my energy into my podcast and like myself, and the amount of growth that I got over that time period's been fucking amazing.
Yeah, good on you. Yeah, it was like that for a lot of people, and we were lucky, I guess. A lot of people, I know a lot of people, especially in the comedy industry, really struggled. And you know what? It wasn't necessarily the comedians, but the people who worked at comedy bars, worked at comedy clubs, the managers, things like that. They really, and they still are.
Yeah.
You know, they're still paying off the debts from that. So, I'm trying to do what I can to support them, and I think if you were like us, where COVID almost helped us and changed our perspective on things, I think we were pretty lucky, because some people really copped it pretty hard.
100%, especially overseas too.
Yeah. In Australia, we're so lucky with
Unless
the way.
you're in Melbourne.
That's very true. Yeah, even in Melbourne now, compared to London and the US, is still better.
Yeah.
But they were in a really intense lockdown, pretty much till October last year. That's, yeah.
Are they still in like a lockdown now? Because didn't they go into like a 7-day?
They came out of that, I think, a few days ago. But yeah, they were in a 2-week lockdown, and that's and no more JobKeeper, no more job seeker. So that would, if you know, if you've gone through that whole ordeal and then you've just got your business back up and running, and then shut down for 2 weeks, you don't get any JobKeeper. Sorry, that's, yeah. Hopefully, shout out to anyone listening from Melbourne. Hope you're doing okay.
Is there a big comedy scene down in Melbourne?
Yeah. Sydney and Melbourne are where the main comedy scenes are.
Okay. And you've performed a lot down there?
Yeah, the biggest part of the Melbourne comedy scene is the Melbourne Comedy Festival. So that happens in usually from late March to late April. It did happen this year. I didn't do it because I thought it was just too risky in case there was an outbreak. But it went really well this year. There was obviously much smaller crowds, restrictions on how many people could be in the venue, but that was a really big source of income for a lot of comedians after a long period of not being able to make the money that they needed to live. So that was great that it could happen. And there's a lot of comedy nights in Melbourne as well, a lot of good comedians in Melbourne, although I much prefer the Sydney comedy scene. Melbourne's very artsy and sort of whimsical, and I think I'm biased obviously, but Sydney comedians are way funnier.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a big comedy scene in Melbourne.
You mentioned income. Is there income to be made on TikTok? And I guess as a comedian, is there much income to be made?
Not direct income yet. You can't make any ad revenue in the same way you can on YouTube and Facebook, but indirectly you can do brand deals, you can do product shout outs, and I'm selling more tickets than ever just because so many people are seeing me on TikTok.
Oh, really?
So in that way, yes, there's income to be made, just not directly off the app.
Yeah. And then so your main income was live shows?
Yeah, and it still is basically, but I'm not as reliant on that now. The podcasts, because if you're posting longer content on YouTube, you can make a bit more ad revenue, and I do a few product deals here and there. But yeah, live shows are still the main bread and butter.
How much do tickets usually cost to those?
Depends. The one I'm doing now, so I'm doing I'm not doing a solo show. I'm doing a weekly kind of comedy variety show in Sydney, where I host it, but there's a few other comedians, and then
is that where they ask the question and then you just walk up on stage and put like a answer
yeah,
to it?
Yeah. So we do those games and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make it a bit different, because otherwise it's the same kind of comedy show out there. The tickets for that are $25, and you get a 2-hour show. I think it's really good value. And if I take it around Australia, which I'm planning to do, maybe be about $30 for tickets, but it can just differ comedian to comedian. If you go to a small comedy night, it can sometimes be as cheap as $10. But if you see, Carl Barron, it's probably going to be 80 to 100. I don't know. When Seinfeld came over here, the cheapest was 220.
Shit.
Yeah. And when a band travels, there's, usually multiple members, managers, dancers, all this big, the props of the set, whereas Seinfeld, it's just him. So he's making basically all of that money back. I mean, sorry, all that money's going to him. Like, that's why he is a billionaire, I think. It's crazy. Yeah, and the amazing thing about comedy is you can do it till you're like 70, basically. You can do it till you can't talk anymore. Whereas if you're a singer, if you're in a band, you still can do it. There are a lot of guys doing it now, real, but it's not the same. 100%. It's not. You don't have the same level of you might still be popular in things, but it's often farewell tours, and I just don't think it's the same. Seeing Seinfeld when he's 60 versus seeing a singer who was famous in the 90s. That's the great thing about. That's why I love comedy as well. The longevity of the careers, the potential for longevity is a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. And you can still dabble in all these things. Like, look at Joe Rogan, for example.
Oh, he's the king. I love that guy so much. Like, he, what he's done is incredible. He was a stand-up, but then he was a presenter. And now he's got the biggest podcast in the world, and it's just because he's so authentic. He's himself and doesn't try to put on a character. He doesn't try to be something he's not. He just talks candidly, and he doesn't try to restrict his sense of humour, and people love it.
Yeah, he is who he is, and if you don't like it, fuck off, basically.
Yeah. I love that. I love that attitude so much.
And that's what it takes to get to his level.
Yeah, pretty much. He's so good. Yeah, someone I definitely look up to.
Yeah, have you followed him since the beginning, kind of thing, or?
When I started comedy, no, I didn't actually follow him till maybe only about 2 or 3 years ago. He actually retweeted one of my viral videos a few years ago, and that's when I started following him. And then I started listening to a few of his podcasts, and I thought, wow, these are really interesting guests, and I just like his demeanor. I like his attitude to life. I'm really into martial arts as well. And I just think he's a really cool guy. I'd love to meet him one day.
He's a fucking man.
Yeah.
I love
That's the goal. Yeah.
Have you seen his new studio? His podcast one looks fucking sick.
Yeah, first it was all red and people didn't like it, but now it's just got the sign there, and yeah, it's nice. I like it. And how much money did he make from the Spotify deal? That's insane.
A lot, bro. He's especially like that, and then all the brand deals and UFC, and then stand-up comedy. He does so much stuff.
Yeah, he's the king. And I don't know, he's like 54 or something.
Yeah.
I always thought he was maybe in his 40s, but he's just so healthy and fit, and he definitely doesn't come across as a guy in his 50s.
He's a smart dude too. So many businesses.
Oh yeah.
He's on top, bro.
Yeah, he's switched on, isn't he?
Yeah. Dude, now with society these days, and I guess the whole political correctness shit, how does that affect comedy?
Well, it just makes it harder to make certain jokes and to say what you want to say. But like what Joe Rogan's done, I think the best strategy is to say, well, fuck off. Like, I don't care what you think. This is what I find funny. I'm not beyond criticism. There's definitely some jokes that not every joke I ever make is going to be funny. That's ridiculous, and people are allowed to say that. They're allowed to say, I thought that was offensive or whatever. I like to push the boundary. And sometimes I'll overstep that boundary, and that's fine. I'll admit to that. But I suppose it really affects comedians if they've got sponsorships or if they're on TV. Then they have to be really careful with what they say. But then they just lose popularity because you can tell it's so obvious when a comedian's not being their authentic self.
You're being controlled by a sponsor. That's not how you should be.
Exactly. Why should Coca-Cola or fucking, I don't know, Coles be able to tell you what is funny?
I know. You got to the position that you are now by being that person. Don't change.
100%. Yeah. So for a lot of comedians, it definitely, it has affected them. But at the same time, I think now people are realizing that for what it is and are kind of ignoring the few weirdos on Twitter that are getting offended at everything.
Yeah. It's only like the small minority that fucking complain or criticize you.
Exactly. Yeah. I always look at the like and dislike ratio on my YouTube videos, right? So if it goes any more than 10% dislikes, then I start to think about, okay, what did I do? Could I have done something better? Or is it just a controversial video? If it's more than like 20 or 30%, then I think you gotta ask yourself, all right, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What went wrong? What could I have done better? Because again, it's a learning curve. Like if people don't like your comedy, it doesn't just necessarily mean people are PC. It could mean that you need to be better or you could work on something. So I try to look at that as much as possible. But yeah, I think that like and dislike ratio is a good way of gauging whether or not you're doing the right thing.
Have you had any videos that have had a lot of dislikes?
Yeah, funnily enough, some of my biggest ones actually have the most dislikes, but that's because they were reaching people that weren't just my followers, and they were, I guess, controversial. So that's probably why.
Have you received any like really bad criticism, like through messages or stuff like
that? When you say really bad, like personal or just...
Personal, yeah.
Yeah.
Because some people can be fuckwits.
Yeah, you look, unfortunately, that's just part of being on the internet.
Yeah.
You just got to just ignore it now. I mean, when I started, it was pretty hurtful, but I don't... For someone to say something personal to someone they don't know who's just doing what they want to do on the internet, that says more about them. So I'm not going to take that on board.
Yeah, 100%. You got to have empathy for those people, especially if they're taking the time out of their day to write a message like that. Like, obviously, they have internal issues.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. If anything now, when I get hate comments on my Facebook videos, I don't try and fight back. I'll just say, look, for anyone to respond like that, they must be dealing with a lot of personal issues, man. I wish you all the best.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why you would have hate watched an entire video just to comment.
I know, especially I hate that when they take the whole, however long the video is, 5 minutes or whatever, out of their life to watch the video and then put a dislike and a comment. Like, really?
Look, I mean, give it a minute, and then if you don't like it, move on with your life. There's nothing for someone to comment. Yeah, like we said, it's just it says more about what's going on in their mind than anything else. You can look. I don't think if you don't like a video, if you don't like what someone said, you're allowed to comment. I like that about commenting on social media. Everyone has a voice. You're allowed to say this wasn't your best work or I didn't find this funny. But when it gets to personal attacks,
it's too far.
That's when. Well, it just says, like you said, it says more about that person than anything else.
100%. Now, getting to the position that you are now, there would have been some struggles along the way.
Yeah.
What are some of those?
A lot of doubts as to whether I would make it. A lot of criticism within the comedy industry, actually, because when I got big on the internet, there was just a lot of live comedians that thought, oh, he's not a real comedian. He just does internet content. It's not true comedy, and that was pretty hurtful. But it was also ammunition for me to prove that I am a real comedian.
Yeah.
In high school there was there's always people had things to say about whether I was funny or not, and it is what it is. They can eat their words now. So there was always struggles like that. I'm definitely like you, actually, I'm a pretty introverted kind of guy, yet when you have all this social media presence, especially when you're 18, 19, 20 and you're going out and people are drinking and everyone's, oh, you're the guy, like, let's get a photo, come meet my friends, let's chat. And sometimes I'm like, I don't actually want to, and then that can come across as rude, and then they'll go and tell everyone, oh, I met that guy from the internet, he was a fucking dickhead, and it's like, you met me for a minute, you don't know who I am.
I just want to be by myself and have a drink, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't judge. Whenever anyone says, oh, I met this person off TV or off the internet or the sports star and they were a dick, I'm like, well, how long did you actually meet them for? You know, what was going on in their life? What was their day like? So that sort of stuff really got to me. And just personal, you know, if you're dating someone, or if, you know, you go out and you hook up with someone, then like everyone fucking knows about it. And I hated that, but I wouldn't call that a struggle. I guess that was just something annoyed me. Around about 2018, I kind of was questioning everything about my career and whether I even wanted to do it. I didn't post a single video that year. I'd gone through a pretty bad breakup as well. So that was definitely a low point in my life. I wouldn't say I went through any really intense mental health struggles, but I was just very, very sad. But that made me think about things and pick up some new hobbies, and I started reading a lot more. So I came out of it a lot better, I think. So that period there was probably the roughest. Maybe year 12 and sort of just after high school, when I didn't really know what I wanted to do and where this comedy thing was going to go, was definitely a bit stressful. And I did have a bit of social anxiety and things like that. I had like a facial tic, which was pretty rough, especially going to parties and you know, being a comedian, right? You need to be confident on stage. So that was something that was pretty hard. But you know, through perseverance and continually working on it, you do overcome things like that. So it always gets better, and the good times are just that much better when you've gone through the bad times. So
100%. It's all a part of the journey, isn't it?
Exactly. If you never experience any struggle in your life, then you know you run out of milk, and it's going to be the worst thing that ever happened to you. So I think it's healthy to go through some amount of struggle, because it makes you a better person.
Exactly. Now, coming from an ethnic background, how did your family take that you want to be a comedian?
I've been very lucky. Like, they were always very supportive, because the funny thing is my mum grew up in Australia and my dad grew up in India, but they both had strict Indian parents. So they said, okay, we're not going to be like that to our kids. Now, they still were very insistent on doing well in school. They you know, make sure you study the typical Indian stereotype. They did all that, which I'm grateful for, because I think, well, that's helped me a lot, being, you know, learning as much as I could in school and being as smart as I can be. But they never forced me to go to uni. They definitely wanted me to finish uni, but at the end of the day, they were comfortable with my decision. And when they could see that I was making enough from it to do it full time, they've been happy with it, and they've supported me all throughout. And you know, even in high school, my mum was driving me back and forth to whatever it was, drama class here and comedy, you know, high school comedy thing here. So they've been great. Yeah, they were never that stereotypical ethnic parent that just never let me do what I wanted to do. So very, very thankful for that. That's another thing I'm grateful for.
That's awesome to hear, because you hear there's so many ethnic people, like, they have these aspirations to do something else, and their parents are like, no, like, you got to do it this way.
It's rough, isn't it? Because then you can't, you know, family is so important, and that would be really hard to then, I guess, be potentially even disowned, or, you know, to have your parents not happy with what you're doing. That's rough. I think, look, as long as people have honest intentions and are working hard at whatever they do, I think go for it.
Yeah,
you know, whether you make $1 million or not much money at all. If you're doing what you enjoy doing, that's better off for you and for the world, I think, because then you'll be a much happier person and that'll rub off on everyone else. So it is a tough one with a lot of ethnic families, because there's people who do have aspirations to do something different, and they're not sure what to do because they're worried they're going to lose their family, which I totally understand. And then they're also worried they can't do what they want to do. So look, if you're in that situation, if you can maybe start off doing it part-time, see how you go, ease your parents into it. I would always recommend not making sudden changes and sudden snap decisions. Maybe rather than like immediately quitting a job, go see if you can do a job part-time and then pursue what it is that you want to do part-time. But sometimes you also just have to bite the bullet. And if this is something you really, really want to do, maybe you do have to just be upfront with your parents and say, look, I'm going to do this. And whether you like it or not, it's just what I'm going to do. So, but it's rough. It's, it can be pretty tough if you're in that really strict household. Yeah,
exactly. And like, as cliche as it is, like life really is too short. Like you don't want to be living with regret and then, resenting your parents because you've done what they wanted you to do with your life and now you have resent against them and then also regret. You don't want to live life like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't want to have, you don't want to be old and asking what if. To be fair, I guess, look, a lot of immigrants have come from very harsher countries where, if you didn't make it as an actor or as a singer or whatever it may have been, you could be homeless. So that's where that culture comes from of, make sure you study really hard, make sure you go to uni. It's because they are looking out for the welfare of their children. So you do have to think about it from that way. It's not like they're evil or anything like that.
Just
but
what's best for you.
Exactly. They've come from, I know in India, there's no real welfare or there's nothing, if you don't have a job, you can pretty much starve. Like it's very different to Australia. So that's why they'll be very strict about make sure you do well. Yeah.
It's very tough.
Yeah.
Actually being ethnic as well, that'd be really more harder.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's fucked. But it's part of the journey. If you really want to pursue something, you just got to do it.
Exactly.
Even if your relationship with your parents is kind of on edge for a few years, surely enough they'll come around once they see how passionate you are about what you're doing and, you're really happy now. So you just got to take a chance.
I agree. Do what makes you happy at the end of the day. As long as it's not hurting anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Then, or not physically hurting anyone, then go for it. Yeah.
As I said, life's too bloody short.
Exactly. It is. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. You never know when it's going to end. So just do it. Live life your way.
Yeah. And we live in a country like Australia. You can do things like what we're doing, and maybe if you do have ethnic parents, like I was just saying, they might have come from countries where that's just not possible. You can't do it. So take advantage of that.
Yep.
Go for it.
The great thing is you can always go back to uni. You can always go back to a job. You can go back to all those things.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you can't always pursue that passion.
That's exactly it, yeah.
Dude, being, I guess, a popular guy, what are the pros and cons?
The pros of being, when you say popular, you mean just people
popular on social media and the comedy.
Pros is that you people will always look at the content you put out there.
Yeah.
So I'll always have at least a couple of thousand people viewing every video, and that's amazing. So I don't need to that was the really hard bit at the start, was just like building that initial 1,000 followers, because I was shameless, bro. I was like telling all my friends on Facebook, can you like this? Can you share this? Do you mind if you post this? Can you tag this? And they probably got sick of it. But no, I'm so thankful that they actually did it because it did help me in the end. But yeah, the massive pro of having an audience is that you can already get yourself out there and you don't have to rely on other people sharing. You don't have to rely on going viral. You have an audience, you have a voice, and that's just priceless, really. People who already follow you are always going to think they're always going to be inclined to already find you funny because there's that social proof.
Yep.
So that's always good. Financially, I'm able to do it full time, which is amazing. Anything artistic you can do full time is like the dream. Cons, there's pressure, if you're performing to 100 people, 200 people, you gotta, they've paid to see you. They might have even traveled a little bit. You gotta, it's a job. Like, you gotta be professional about it. You gotta make sure you put on a good performance and do everything right. Sometimes you don't get privacy when you're out in public. Now, I'm nothing compared to, I guess, one of the most famous NRL players or a big music star and actor. So I can only imagine what they go through. But yeah, there's some times where I just don't want to be recognized, or I just want to, live my life normally. But people are coming up and taking photos, and usually people are very respectful, and I'm more than happy to take a photo and chat. But some people just go a bit too far, and then, I remember I was walking to the gym the other day and the guy was like, oh, you're the guy from the internet, bro, can you do a video can you be in this video with me? And I'm like, he just did it so fast. I didn't know what was happening. He's like, hey, he started vlogging. He's like, hey man, I'm here with Neel, and like, tell me what you think about this. Tell me what you think about this. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? I'm just walking to the gym. Like, this is kind of just rude. All right. So, but that's like a small minor thing. Like, the pros outweigh the negatives for sure. And I'm so happy with, what I have and what I'm doing. And yeah, that's a small con. It's also very unpredictable, 1 year you could have so many viral videos and views and everyone loves you, and then a year or two later people have forgotten about you. That's the world of the internet.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thought. So it just puts a lot more pressure on you. You got to keep evolving and adapting. I kind of like that pressure a little bit. It forces you to keep improving, but it can be rough. I know people who were big a couple of years ago and now have had to go back to doing whatever they were doing before. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't think they wanted to do that. But it can just happen. Like, you can fall out of favor. You can just lose your popularity.
Yeah. It's always evolving. You got to stay with the times and adapt.
Exactly. Yeah. And coming back to someone like Joe Rogan, right? He was famous in the 90s as the host of Fear Factor. And then he started MMA commentary, and he started the podcast, I think 10, 11, 12 years ago. It's been doing it for a long time, but it only really took off a few years into it. The start, it was there, but it wasn't nearly as big as it is now.
Now we signed with Spotify.
Jeez, yeah. So much. Yeah, that's huge. That's so good though, because it shows that people who aren't going through the media machine can be really successful, and there's no one telling him what to say or what to think, at least that I'm aware of. It just seems very authentic, and that's why people love it.
Yeah, just stay persistent, and this is where it gets you.
Absolutely. You got to love what you're doing as well. You shouldn't be doing it for the views and the follows. And look, that's all a bonus. I do it because I love the art of comedy, man. I really want to keep improving and working on my joke writing and writing more complex and different jokes and trying different things, experimenting. That's what I like doing. That's why I do it. And as long as I can keep doing it full time, and as long as I don't care if I'm performing to 50 people or 5,000 people, as long as I've got food on my plate, I mean, you know, it's always nice if it's nice food, but you know, as long as I can do it full time, I'm happy. Like I don't care about the numbers per se, but the numbers are what drives the ticket sales and things. So it's something you do have to look out for.
Yeah, just got to be happy, man.
Yeah.
If you
got to be content, you got to be grateful. Yeah. If you chase happiness, it won't. It's like love and, you know, stuff like that. I think if you constantly chasing happiness, it's you got to be content. I think that's what you got to aim for. Yeah.
Find your passions and just go with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're living proof of it, man. Just you could have gone a different direction. Could have done what your parents. Could have stayed at uni.
Yeah.
But you followed your passion. And now look where you are.
Yeah. It's yeah. Like I say, I'm not great. I can't be any more grateful. Really, it's amazing. I think although you know, there's a lot of people who think, oh, if I get married and I have kids, I'll be so happy. Or if I can get that girlfriend, I'll be so happy. If I get that boyfriend, I'll be happy. If I make $1 million, I'll be happy. I really think I think happy people are just inherently happy people, whether they're single, whether they've got a relationship, whether they're killing it at their job or whether they're just starting out at their job. If you think you need to achieve something or you need to get 1 million followers to be happy, then that's not true. And that's coming from someone who, you know, I got all those followers but it was only after that where I actually went through a bit of that tough period. And, you know, compared to other people, this was pretty mild. But after that, when I started, you know, sound a bit wanky or whatever, but like meditating a lot more and like working on myself, that's what created more happiness. And it wasn't the social media fame or the popularity, really. It was just being able to be grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be happy within yourself.
That's it. That's exactly it. Yeah.
So you do a lot of meditation, do you do reading and like a lot of personal development stuff?
I try to do every day. I try to do meditation. I try to read and I try to work out. So I try to do that every day, at least, even if it's just 5 minutes of each. I think that's just those are really important things that help your physical health, your mental health, your outlook on life, your knowledge. I think regardless of how old you are, where you are in life, whatever you're doing, I think those 3 things, every human in the world it can only be positive if you do those every day.
100%. Especially like the gym and it just clears the mind. It's a reset.
Absolutely. Like the positive effects of working out. It doesn't have to be if you're running or if you're, you know, whatever it is, if physical activity. That's just, yeah. We're meant to be doing that. We're animals at the end of the day. We're not meant to be sitting in an office all day. That's why a lot of people are unhappy. You're meant to be walking around foraging for food and hunting or whatever. So you got to do at least 5 minutes of that a day.
Exactly. 100%. Now, where are you looking to take your comedy? You mentioned you want to take your show around Australia. What else? Would you like to take it overseas eventually?
Eventually, yeah. I'd love to. And with TikTok, I've been able to now I have more American followers than Australian, which is crazy. So in terms of the scale of it, yeah, I'm doing this weekly comedy room in Sydney right now, and I'd love to start monthly rooms. If it's cost viable, I'd love to start monthly rooms in all the capital cities and maybe some regional cities in New South Wales. So Newcastle, Wollongong. I think, well, Canberra, it's technically not New South Wales, but, you know, whatever. And then the other capital cities, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, maybe even Auckland, I don't know. And if I could do a monthly comedy room in all those places, then I'd be performing, 2 to 3 times a week with this show, with the people I love and respect, coming up with content as well. So that's the dream. That's the 1 year, well, not even the 6 month goal right now, to try and set those rooms up all over Australia. And then eventually go overseas. Love to get a special on either Netflix or Amazon or something like that. But even that, look, if I'm not going to chase it, if it comes, it comes. I'm happy just getting my content out there, whether it's through Netflix or whether it's through YouTube. I don't really care. And then I'm really enjoying the podcasting actually. So I'm trying to just read maybe one book every 2 weeks, sometimes even one book a week, and try to just because I didn't go to uni, so just educate myself, and hopefully in another 5 to 10 years I can speak at length on a range of topics.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the longer term goal.
Awesome, man. I have to get down to one of your shows one time.
For sure, man. Anytime you're free on a Thursday, let me know. We'll get you some tickets.
Too easy. What are you reading at the moment?
Last night I finished a book about actually Australia's relationship with China.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, what that's been like for the last 20, 30 years, what the future of that is, because it's such an important political topic for Australia, especially moving into the future. And with COVID, so I wanted to just, increase my knowledge on it as much, learn about it a bit more.
It's a fucking rocky relationship.
Isn't it? Because you can't... It's hard to navigate because you want to maintain Australian sovereignty, but we're so economically tied to China now that if you try to do one thing one way, it's affecting the other thing.
Yeah. We're basically fucked if China leave us.
I don't know what. There's no one knows a solution yet. No. A few people have ideas, but who knows what the next 10 years will look like? It's not that long. Because 10 years ago, it wasn't that long ago, but man, things are going to be so different in 2031. Jesus.
It's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
So interesting. God.
How did you get into podcasting?
Well, I actually didn't even want to do podcasting to start off with, funnily enough. I just thought with the way social media was evolving, posting a sketch once every 2 or 3 weeks, which is what I was doing, is not good enough anymore.
Yep.
The algorithm wasn't favoring that. I was losing viewers. I was losing engagement. It was favoring people who were posting multiple times a week and longer clips. And so then eventually I bit the bullet and thought, right, fine, I will do a podcast. And I also, as you can see, I have a serious side to me. Like, I'm not all just characters and comedy, right? Yeah. And I wanted to be able to showcase that and speak just as myself and not have to be funny, because I'm not a naturally funny guy, right? Obviously, I'm funny when I do my accents, when I do my characters, when I write my jokes. But some comedians are just naturally funny people. I'm the complete opposite to that. So I started the podcast, and not as a comedy podcast, just as a way to get my ideas out there and just to connect with people and just speak and speak freely without having to think about being funny or appeasing people or advertising a product or something like that. And then I actually started really enjoying it. So after COVID, I started a second podcast because I bought all this equipment. So I thought, well, I got all this equipment now anyway, and I've got the time because of COVID, so I may as well start a second one. And I've been enjoying it ever since. I've been doing the first one for 2 years now, and we just filmed our 50th episode earlier today, actually, for the second one, Sex Cells, which is what it's called. So they're both going incredibly well. I'm really happy with them.
That's awesome. So was your first one the Neel and Jordan one?
Yeah. So that's with Friendly Geordies, who's all over the media right now. Look into what's going on with him at the moment. It's messed up. So people should be informed about that. Basically, one of his producers got arrested. It's really scary stuff. So yeah, we do a podcast, and we talk about comedy a lot, but not it's not a comedy podcast in the sense it's not that funny a podcast. Like, we banter on it and that, but we also just sort of unpack ideas, and in the same way Joe Rogan's a comedian, but he's not, you don't listen to his podcast and laugh out loud by any means. It's just very interesting and engaging, and that's what I was trying to go for. And you look, at the end of the day, Jordan and I are both nerds. We just read a lot, and we just try and think about things as deeply as we can, and that's what we do on our podcast. It's not for everyone. It's definitely not for everyone, I'll say that, but that's the beauty of something like podcasting. You don't have to appeal to everyone. You appeal to whoever you want to, really. Yeah. And then the second one I wanted to do, because I saw all this stuff on social media about there's almost this gender war going on where men are always, women are saying it's harder being a woman, and men were saying no, but what about our problems? And we're just always at each other on social media. So I thought, well, I want to try and do a podcast unpacking this and having a male and female perspective, because there's so many podcasts where it's two girls or it's two guys, and there's not that many where it's just a male and a female. And so I found Eliza, who's a relationship therapist, and I wanted someone who's actually very educated and qualified in that field. And it's been perfect. We've been talking about those issues and unpacking them and speaking with different perspectives, and sometimes we debate and sometimes we agree, and that's what I like about it. It's great. It's been really, I just genuinely, it doesn't feel like work, which is the beauty of it. I don't feel like I'm at work when I'm doing them. I just feel like I'm genuinely having a great conversation.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You just sit with basically like a mate, talk,
exactly.
Record it and put it out there.
It's wonderful, isn't it? Yeah. It's
so easy to do.
Exactly, yeah. That's the beauty of it. Again, like with the technology, I know now everyone has one, but man, you feel old on TikTok because all these Gen Z teenagers are like, why does every millennial want to start a podcast? And I'm like, oh, God. There's already like, you're 24, so you're just millennial, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Gen Z are just constantly attacking us
fuck
about.
Them.
Yeah, I know. Fuck you guys. You wait till you're our age. You'll also have problems. Okay. But it's quite funny, some of the stuff they say. They say, millennials are always talking about avocado and toast, and it's so hard to adult. And it's like, Stephanie, you're 34, get your life together. Savage, but it is kind of true.
Yeah.
But wait till you're 34, see if you're adulting.
Yeah. Fuck growing up.
Yeah. You know what? As you get older anyway, because when you're a kid, you look at adults and you're like, oh, they're so responsible and they must be so wise. And no.
And if they are, they're boring.
Exactly, yeah. They're just kids that are a bit more in control of their emotions, but they still make mistakes and they still are impulsive, and, people still lie and they cheat and they bully and all those sorts of things that happen when you're a kid. That never changes. That's just human. That's just humans.
Yeah, and it's just not all over TikTok.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
Because half of them don't even know what it is.
Exactly. If anything, that's probably worse, right? At least it's out there on TikTok.
100%. Now, we'll jump into these questions. You said you got
Sure, yeah. A few people sent me. I'll just give it to you.
Yeah, awesome. I'll get mine up. Fucking stupid question I got on here. You want to answer that one?
All right, well, these are the ones Okay, so let's... How many are there here? There's 4 here. Oh, someone's just...
3. He just did.
Okay. First one, who does he look up to in Australian comedy? That's a good one. I've always looked up to more American comedians, to be honest, man. Like Chris Rock is the guy that I love and adore and respect and admire so much. Russell Peters is the other big one. Bill Burr, but look, I just never really was that. I like a lot of Australian comedy. I like Tom Gleeson. If anyone, I look up to Friendly Jordies. I do the podcast with him. He's only a couple of years older than me, but I really admire and respect what he's done. So I'd have to go with him. Can he take Waleed Ali's job? Not gonna. No, I don't want to be a presenter.
No.
I mean, good luck to anyone who wants to do that. I could not do that. Damn. How many times does a jerk off a day to reduce stress levels? On a really stressful day, maybe 3.
Yeah, nice.
Got to get that dopamine hit, but can't keep that up for more than maybe 3 days. Then I think need to recharge.
Recharge the batteries.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's it really like being Aussie?
That's a pretty deep question. Damn. Well, I've only ever been Aussie, so I can't compare it to anything. So I don't know. I think that I can't answer a question like that. Like it's great. Like I don't know. It's
a very broad
compared
question.
to what? Like I don't know what
open-ended question.
What's it really like being Aussie? I'm assuming that's coming from someone who's not Australian.
No, it's coming from an Aussie.
Ask yourself then. I don't know.
Vegemite and toast, awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. Very relaxed. People are very chilled out here. Pretty hot weather. I don't know. Like we do have a lot of freedom and things. We've got to keep it that way. Compared to other countries, it's a fantastic country. Great sense of humour. Just taking the piss out of everyone and each other and ourselves. Tall poppy syndrome. Sometimes that can get a bit annoying, but at the end of the day, I kind of like that because it keeps people in check. If they get arrogant. Yeah, I don't know how to. Like, that's a weird question. I don't know.
Have you ever faced racism, or have you ever felt getting ignored by girls just because you're brown?
Every guy's felt ignored by girls at some point in their life. Because I'm brown, it's hard to say because you don't know if they're ignoring you because you're brown or not.
It depends. Some girls love brown guys.
Some do now, yeah. They're rare, but damn, I love those girls, right? The statistics, there are actually statistics that do show, like, on dating apps and things, people actually Asian, so Chinese and Vietnamese and sort of call that Southeast Asian, get the least swipes on average, and then brown guys get the second least after that. So, but look, it's hard to, because I do have a profile that has helped me with my dating life, I guess. You know, I'm not bragging or anything, but, you know, girls are always like, they're just like, oh, I've seen you, I'll swipe. And, you know, if you slide into a girl's DM with the tick, it looks a little bit more impressive. Have I experienced racism? Yeah, look, I guess if you want to call it like casual racism, yeah, people will call you slurs, I guess, whatever it is, curry muncher, or very rarely you get to like go back to your country type thing. But you know what? It's almost always just like drunken bogans that look like they're so dumb anyway. Yeah. I don't even take it to heart. In the same way, I don't really take those sorts of comments on social media to heart. I don't really, like, if someone says something like that, I'm just like, well, you're an idiot. I don't even really get that offended by it necessarily. I don't think, at least not that I'm aware of, I haven't sort of been denied a job or, you know, been treated like a suspect or anything like that, that I know of. But to answer the question, like, have I experienced it? Yeah, I have, yeah, but it hasn't been overwhelming to the point where it hasn't allowed me to do what I want to do, or it hasn't, you know, prevented me from living the life I want to live. So it's just part of the challenges of life, I think.
Yeah. Awesome. How did you come up with the characters like Charles D and Kolhtkar? we kind of mentioned it before, but
just from what I observe, man, like, I see these people on social media and in real life, and I think they're funny. So I come up with a character making fun of them, basically. Yeah, it's just that.
Did you ever go on YouTube and watch Ty Lopez, Ferrari in My Garage?
I've seen all of it. Yeah, it's all sort of loosely based on those sorts of guys as well. There's a few good Australian ones now as well. But I think, yeah, when I started Charles D in 2018, it was around about time where I'm like, these guys need to be made fun of a little bit.
Yeah, fucking idiots.
Yeah, when they go a bit,
masterclass,
they go a
my
bit,
ebook.
Yeah. Yeah, they take it a bit too far. Look, I'm all for self-help. Like, I think self-help can be amazing, and I think, you know, it's important to teach people. If you are successful, you can teach them what got you there. But, man, when they go around in their, like, BMWs and fucking slow-motion videos and constantly, like, with all the girls around them, I'm like, dude, all right, we get it. Okay, you got a small dick. All right,
You're
we get
a wank.
it.
Fuck.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking idiot. Did your parents pressure you to not pursue comedy when you first started?
No, as I said before, no, they didn't. They were very supportive all the way through. So I'm very, I got all the good things about Indian culture. You know, the work ethic and making sure you do well in school and the great food. That's why when people are like, "You're a curry muncher," I'm like, "Yeah, it tastes good. What do you munch on? Meat pies? I'd rather curry, bro. Like, what do you?"
Nothing wrong with a good curry, mate. I love it.
Exactly right. So it's not even an insult.
I love curry sausages.
Curry sausages.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had like a curried pie actually.
But I feel like that's an Aussie version of curry. It's not really curry.
True. Well, anything you get in Australia is not like real curry, right?
Yeah,
but
true.
Yeah, it's like when you go to a Chinese restaurant and they have curry and you're like, what the hell? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Or you go to an Indian restaurant and they got like a one chicken chow mein dish. What the hell is this? What are you doing?
It's the one Asian in the kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when KFC has a salad. It's like, who the fuck goes to KFC for a salad, all right?
Give me that greasy fucking chicken.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No.
You go to some other place for the salad, man. But what was the question, sorry? It was...
your parents pressuring you.
No, didn't get that. So, yeah. I mean, a little bit, but nothing overwhelming at all.
No, it just came from a safety. They wanted the best for you, really.
Yeah, they wanted me to get the degree as a backup. But look, even when they were growing up, the degree doesn't... I know a lot of people who've gotten degrees and they're still struggling to get a job, actually. It's really sad.
You got all this debt.
Yeah, exactly. That's it too. You are paying for that degree. So, look, if you're going to go into something like engineering or maybe medicine, that's where you obviously need the degree. But like I was saying, journalism, media, even just a general arts degree, it's good to be there and to read the great literature that you would read in that course. But now with the internet, you can learn a lot of that coursework yourself online for free. You just don't get the piece of paper at the end.
Bro, University of YouTube.
Exactly. It's such a good resource, man.
Yeah.
And if you search lectures, you can actually basically find what everyone else is learning at uni anyway. So
there's
you just
information
don't need
everywhere.
It. Yeah.
University's overrated. I guess if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, but other than that, I don't really believe in it.
I agree. Well, it's a business. They're trying to make money, so they're trying to just come up with these ridiculous courses that people don't need to do.
There's an entrepreneur course now.
You can't teach something like that. What are you teaching them like that? What is that? Just Ty Lopez videos? I mean, for God's sakes. Even though there's like a 3-year diploma for real estate, I'm like, what are you... Maybe I'm being mean to real estate agents. What do you need to learn for 3 years? You
just got to learn how to talk shit.
Show them the house.
Yeah.
You make it sound really nice. You put it up on domain.com and you get your percentage. What else do you do? I don't know. Any real estate agents listening, you can tell me. I'm sure there's a lot of other work to do, but you don't need 3 bloody years to learn how to do that. It's because the university or the private college are trying to make money. So they make more money if someone's paying tuition for 2 or 3 years rather than just for like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Similarly, with a lot of these private, music colleges or arts colleges, they're a scam because they just teach you the same things you could learn for either for free or for a fraction of the cost, either online or just in a sort of like local community theatre or something. But it's just, I'm going to this academy or I'm going to this institute of music. And it's like, look, man, maybe it will help you get a job. But I think in this modern age of social media, in almost every artistic field, the people who are doing really well are people who are building their own audience. And I like that. It's power to the individual again. Yeah. It's not about trying to appease the producer or the head of whatever it is, literature in Australia. I don't know, that's not even a position, but you know what I'm talking about. But you just put out what you create, and if people like it, they like it, and then that's it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Me too, man. I'm surprised there isn't a course on social media yet.
I think that I went on a Tinder date with a girl a few years ago who said she was studying social media, and I'm like, what's there to study? You just... You just got to go on it, right?
Grow your following to 1 million. You should do a masterclass on that.
Oh, yeah, I could now. Just post. Just
consistency and either educate or entertain.
Yeah, and the funny thing with social media is sometimes things can go viral not based on how good they are, just based on how shocking they are, how controversial they are, how weird they are, how obscure they are. So you got to just learn elements like that and not just make something shocking for the sake of going viral. But if it can seem shocking on the surface level, but it's got depth to it, things like that are the way you have to think about it.
No, you don't need fancy equipment. You see these TikTok videos, you can just film it on your phone.
Literally.
Pretty shit quality, and they go viral.
In fact, most of the videos that have done best for me are the ones where I've just thought about something on the spot and filmed it on my phone, whereas the ones I put a lot of effort into, funnily enough, they often don't go that well because people can sense that and they like the organic nature of someone just doing a selfie video. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, that's the good thing about TikTok. You can just post whatever.
And the algorithm is so good now. It's not just corporate and big media companies coming in buying up that homepage. It's the videos that are just gaining the most traction get onto the For You page, and I really like that. It's just based on the ratio. It's how many comments is this post getting? Cool, we'll put it on the For You page. I love that.
Yeah, I still don't understand it. Like I had a video get 80K, then the next video is like 200. I'm like, how does this algorithm work?
It's just about, because the one with 80K would have probably gone onto the For You page. So the For You page is where you see videos that from people you don't follow. So it just means that one was lucky and just got on the For You page.
It's like hit and miss. That's why they say to post so much, because you don't know what's going to hit.
If you have like 100 followers and then, when you post a video, let's say 30 of them watch that video, the algorithm, as far as I'm aware, based on how many people are watching that, if a lot of them are commenting and sharing it, it's more so comments and shares than it is likes, then it's more likely to get on the For You page. So it doesn't matter how many followers. This is even the really good thing about it. It doesn't even matter how many followers you have. If you are getting a good ratio, so if you have only 10 views, but all 10 of those result in shares, it'll get on the For You page. Whereas if you have a million followers and then it only got 10 shares, it'll go to your followers, which is still a lot of them, but it won't get on the For You page. So it's all about the ratio, from what I've been told. I don't know that for a fact, but and from what I can gather from the videos that I've seen go well on my page, but it is also very hit and miss, and the hashtags change it and the length of it and the song, all sorts of things.
It's always changing, eh?
Yeah, it really is, yeah.
Crazy. All right, last question. Best AMP you'd recommend under 300? Do you know what that is? Amp? Oh, maybe amp.
Best amp you'd recommend under 300? I wouldn't know. Like as in the music amp or?
Possibly, I don't know. Do you use amps?
Best amp I'd have no clue about that one.
All right, don't worry
Damn,
about that
sorry,
question.
Sam Burke.
What a random question.
Yeah. Best amp you'd recommend under 300? Bro, I don't know. Go to JB Hi-Fi. I don't know.
That's your phone.
That's my phone.
All right, we'll finish off with the last few questions that I like to ask.
Sure.
How do you define success?
Having a goal and then making steps towards that goal and eventually reaching that goal.
Awesome. Short and sharp.
Yeah. I don't think it's about fame. I don't think it's about money. I mean, unless the goal is fame and money.
Yeah.
Whatever your goal is, if you're making progress towards that goal, you're being successful. If you're learning, even if you're not making progress necessarily, if you're just learning, well, then in a way you are still making progress towards it. That's successful. And then if you reach the goal, that's the ultimate success.
It's just growing and being the best version of you, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
Last question. When your time's all up and done in this earth, what would you like to be remembered for?
Oh. Ideas or art that have made people think deeply and feel something deeply. So I would love that my comedy or my art or my ideas, I'd love to write a book one day. If that can still mean something to people after I'm gone, that would, I don't know what happens to you after you die, but if I can still feel things or if I can still see things, that would be incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Neel, thank you so much for making the trip up here once again and jumping on my podcast.
Bro. My pleasure. No, thank you so much. And I think it's really important for more, like I said, especially men, to talk about things like this, mental health, and just having these sorts of conversations. I think it's important. So keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's just sharing the journey and showing that it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
No, not at all. Yeah. And go look at the Tigers. You got to deal with all these 10 years, and then eventually they'll come good.
One day. Same as the Dragons.
Yeah. Be good if you're a Storm fan. It's all sunshines. Jeez.
Oh, they're my second team.
That's not a bad second team to have, hey?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, once again, thank you for all the listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.